and people don't have enough time to have conversations. And so I don't know why we still do this big conference thing that we know people feel intimidated to participate in the larger groups.
And you were talking about even like watching high schoolers where some thrive in the in-person environment, some need that more individual attention, and it's the same with adults too, right? There's different ways and different environments where people thrive. So how do you facilitate that in a way that's going to work for everyone? Anything else? Any other feedback for Propel Next?
I don't know, this may be too much, but we're doing a series of trainings with another organization on the characteristics of white supremacy. And I feel that it just gives you this additional side to identify certain things. And if I'm looking back at some of the work that we've done, like this, this reporting that is always a certain way kind of thing. Like, I feel that maybe the people that lead Propel Next, and some of them are, I can tell that, because they were leading some of the trainings, but I wonder, if everybody has gone through some of that as well.
Absolutely. So thinking about, not just giving trainings on DEI, but how do you live those values in your organization and how that gets reflected out into the work.
And this is maybe because we're it sounds like we're a very different organization from what Propel Next works with. It would be good if, and again, I don't know the other organizations, but for us at the beginning, there was a lot of confusion among the other workers at Puente around what are they working on? It sounds like they're doing a lot, but what is this? Right? And so I think that having maybe a session where everybody that works at the organization is part of, like, to sort of hear, this is the history, this is what they're going to embark, like, be kind to your coworkers because they're about to go in. And like, I don't know, it felt like a lot of us, and again, I wasn't the program director at the time, so it did feel confusing and sort of like alien, like what? And at one point it was talk like every other department has to be following this model, and it was like, wait, what are we talking about? It just felt really disconnected from the whole organization. And I wonder if there's a way to include the organization and a way just to give them information. This is what's going to happen. That would have really helpful, because there were meetings where Liz was trying to present and people were like, are we getting rid of the youth program? Absolutely not. Like, what is happening here? And I think that was really unfair to have left the team just alone with this presentation. I think they needed to have the backup of the whole Propel Next, and Propel Next come in and explain it, really.
And I will echo that, because I remember there was one meeting where Monica and I left crying. Because that, to Arlai's point, Propel Next did do a really good job of telling you this is going to be a roller coaster of emotions. Some people are going to fight you on it. Some people, it was one thing to see the theory of the roller coaster that we're embarking on, a very different thing to be on the receiving end of staff's reaction to it. And I remember we were just taking all the hits. We're like, and then like everyone left, and then we just started crying. And so to her point, I do think, and again, I don't know if it's because we're a different organization and this was just focused on one program, whereas all the other organizations, it's completely what they're designed for. But should they take on more organizations like ours to be mindful of that and have Propel Next be the one who presents on this work rather than letting the line staff take the hits.
Because I think it was part of the model, actually. It was to do a presentation to the organization and to do something. I remember, I think, to the board of directors. Like, it was part of the model, I think, to encourage that this was shared. But yeah, I agree with Liz.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you're not alone in that. That's actually one of my questions is, it's kind of the model is, okay, we roll this out to one program and then it spreads throughout the organization. And I'm curious just to hear more about how that process went. Because I know even for you all, starting with Propel Next, like, oh, this is really challenging. Are we going to be able to do this? And then you had to roll that out to others who might have the same questions and concerns.
Yeah, and just I just will have to leave at 11 because I have another social call.
Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's only been implemented in our department, the education department. It actually hasn't gone into other departments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the call, you mentioned using some of the tools to set up new programs and new things you were doing. So it sounds like it's been successful there, but it's been more challenging to spread it to other programs.
Yeah, well, I'll let Monica speak to it.
Yes, the one we're working on now, that's still in our department, but it'll be tailored to parents. So we're able to apply some of the theory change and the model with those because it's still in our department. I don't know enough to know if it'll be replicated in others. Maybe Arla can let us know, but we have like health, economic security, like those programs are kind of constantly running. So I don't know if the theory of change would work for them or it could be modified for them. But it's still in our department, a little department. It hasn't spread. I think there's maybe like seedlings going to others, but I'm not sure.
Right.
And at this point, just because we are in so much still COVID and so much more, I don't see it going that way. What I do see is taking a few pieces, like I mentioned before, maybe having some Raquel time to help us with logic model. I can see just few pieces, but I don't see any department embarking on such a big assignment just because we're already doing a lot and this was a lot and they had a coach and I don't think we have that right now, unless you think differently, Rita, but I don't see it.
Well, I feel that now we have a strategic plan to follow. And so, our priority, we didn't say is to do this in all the programs. We have other priorities they have said, but also I think Propel Next changed their expectations also over the time. Like, I don't know if I have it backwards, but I remember, I think it was at the beginning where they said, this will permeate into the rest of the organization. And then at some point Propel Next, it was like, no, it is optional, if the organizations want to implement. And so I feel the expectation also changed to what the organization will do. And I think Liz is completely right. It has to do a lot with the fact that the youth program is one activity within the education program within Puente, right? And other programs are full-on youth development organizations. That's all that they do. But I don't think, Adelaide, to answer your question, I don't think that we're doing that, but I see us taking elements, and in fact we have taken elements from what they have done to what Propel Next and the education team have done to start some of the new initiatives that we are running.
Kind of diffuse it. And how about within your own program, now that Propel Next is ending, do you see yourself continuing to do the practices and using data and things the way that you've learned to do through Propel Next? Do you see that continuing into the future for your own program?
I think Monica and I, as much as we tantrumed with it at the beginning, we don't see any other way now to do programming. This is the way because now we know how to do it. So it comes to a second nature. And it just makes sense because it also gives us the tools to be able to tell leadership, no, we can't do that. Like, based on evidence, based on our capacity, based on parameters, it just won't work. And so that's also been extremely useful. I think one of the initial questions when you're going to start a program is there a need? And if there is a need, is there any other organization or resource being provided for that need? And so when we are thinking about our new program, that is the first thing we ask ourselves.